Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're all doing well this fine Friday. I was going to do this live stream at a more suitable time for the majority of my audience, because this isn't a suitable time for the majority of my audience. I was going to do it later on this afternoon, but then I realised I probably need to go out later, so I'm here. So I'm going to keep this concise, but we do have a lot to go through. So if you're watching it on the replay, welcome. If you're watching it live, an even bigger welcome. So Stacey Wondra, the accused, or one of the accused murderers of then 5-year-old Michael Joseph Vaughan from Fruitland, Idaho, had a preliminary hearing this week. And I was going to cover it like each day, but because it wasn't live streamed, if it had been live streamed, I would have been live streaming it, but the judge didn't allow it. However, there were cameras in court, and I don't know whether the whole preliminary hearing will be released at a later date, but things are starting to trickle out. So I decided to do just one overall live covering the whole preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing, for those who don't know, is an alternative to a case going to a grand jury. So a case can either go to a judge via a preliminary hearing, or it can be indicted by a grand jury. So in this case, it went to a preliminary hearing where the prosecution has to state their case to a judge, and the judge determines whether or not there is probable cause for it to go ahead. And the judge, yesterday was the final day, so that the whole thing lasted 3 days, or 4 days. There was a status conference on Monday, and then I think the preliminary hearing was 3 days. So the judge did decide at the end of it all that there was probable cause to take this case further. So Stacey Wondra is now going to district court to be arraigned in April, and his trial date will be set. So for those not totally familiar with the case, I'll just give a little bit of a background before we get into the preliminary hearing itself. I have covered this case since the beginning. I do have a Michael Vaughan playlist, so you can go and watch my coverage on this case. It's heartbreaking, given that Stacey Wondra did his rounds on YouTube a while ago, and it's obvious that this guy is lying through his teeth, and as more comes out, the more obvious it becomes. But I will give a little bit of a background preamble before we get into the preliminary hearing itself. Just let me share my screen with you, and I'll show you what we're going to watch. So, as I said, things have been now trickling out, and I've just seen this. I haven't watched this. So we're going to watch this together. This is a phone call that has been released on Idaho News on Demand, 28 minutes. And this is a phone call between Stacey Wondra and his mother. So, the guy makes my skin crawl. He absolutely makes my skin crawl. We're also going to watch what the parents said after the hearing. They spoke out after the judge made his decision. We're going to watch that. And as I said, things are trickling out. There's been a lot of like little segments because cameras have been allowed in court. We're going to watch that as well. Now, some of that has been released already. It was released to social media. This was Stacey Wondra. Stacey Wondra telling cops where to dig for Michael's body. So we're going to watch that. Now, we've probably seen this already if you've been following the case. Now, the full thing was played in court. And as I said, I hope we get the full preliminary hearing where the prosecution lay out the whole case. And I don't know whether it's going to trickle out piecemeal or what, but I'm going to keep on it. All right, let me change this layout slightly. Okay. So, as I said, we're going to give a little bit of a background before we start playing stuff. Hello, everybody. I've just remembered I've not said any hellos to anybody. Let me just do a few hellos because it's very early for most people. Down under with love, hope I will come on about this. Well, yeah, been following the case since the beginning when Michael was first reported missing, the 27th of July, 2021. It's almost 5 years ago. And I remember reporters walking up and down at the end of Michael's street with a cornfield in the background. And that would have been like the day after he was reported missing. And his body's still not been recovered. But in November of 2022, so a year and some months after he was reported missing July 27th, 2021, in November of 2022, there was a dig of a house on like a backyard of a house on Red Wing Street, just half a mile away from where Michael lived. And it was a complete surprise to everybody. It just came out of the blue. And they said it had come from a credible source that they had reason to believe that Michael's body was buried in the backyard of this house on Red Wing Street. They didn't find Michael's body. In a heartbreaking news conference after that dig happened, the chief of Fruitland Police, J.D. Huff, did a press conference and named 4 suspects, one of them being Stacey Wondra, another being Sarah Wondra, Stacey's then wife. I think he's filed for divorce now, and 2 roommates, 2 people who were staying at the house, Adrian Lucien and Brandon Shirtliff. Now, it's noteworthy to say that Sarah Wondra is in jail on unrelated charges at the moment, but it's only Stacey Wondra who they've moved forward with. Now, these other 3 are still suspects in this case, and Stacey is blaming them for this. Stacey's pleading is not necessarily his innocence, but well, he is. He's being arraigned in district court, so his plea will come. I hope he pleads guilty, but I don't think he will. I don't think he will, because he's blaming everybody else but himself. Anyway, that was where the case stood. And then Stacey was in jail on unrelated charges. He came out of jail, and then he started doing the rounds on YouTube, telling all the lies. He ended up being arrested a few months ago for the murder of Michael and the kidnap of Michael. And that brings us to today. Hello, CW. Hello, Joanne. We got Boomers. We got Help Me, Rhonda. We got Envino. We got Kelly, Chico, Journey. Australindingo, maybe. I do need a new puppy banner. I do. Ella's not on my banner yet. I am so close to 100k. I've been sitting on 99.7 subscribers for about 3 months now. So, well, no, maybe. I've been sitting on 99,000 since before Christmas. I've got up to 99.7, but I've been on that for a while. So I'm just under But thank you for hyping my videos. So if you just like the videos, hype the videos, do whatever you can, share the videos, leave a comment, all of those things. Tell the YouTube algorithm that people are engaging with the content, and they push it out to a wider audience who then may subscribe. Justice is coming for Michael. Absolutely. Love it when they squeal. Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to read this article from the Idaho Statesman. Thought they did a good write-up on this, and it gives us a decent amount of background in this as well. And then we'll play the phone call that I haven't seen, so we'll play that. 3 years ago, Stacey Wondra was given two choices by authorities. He could be a witness and testify in a criminal investigation, or he could be a suspect. How do you hype a video? You see the hype button. Now, not all devices show it, and you're only allowed to hype 3 videos a week, so it's a little bit hit and miss. It's just bizarre. I see it when I'm on my iPad. I see hype, the hype button. It's like near the join button. It's like just on the front of the video. I don't see it. I never see it when I'm on my laptop. So I don't think all devices show it. It's just a very strange feature that YouTube have added. So this would have been when he was in jail on unrelated charges and he started to talk. And he was laughing and joking and very jovial about it and directing cops to where they buried the body in the backyard. That's why J.D. Huff said they had a credible source. It came from Stacey Wondra, who lived, it was like his residence. So it came from him. But then he kind of denied stuff. But this was contingent on his ability to provide law enforcement with enough information to lead investigators to the body of Michael Vaughan, a 5-year-old boy from Fruitland, Idaho, who disappeared from the front yard of his home in the early evening of July 27th, 2021. The boy's body has never been found, and now Wondra, who lived less than half a mile away with his then wife Sarah Wondra, will face a jury and stand trial on murder and other felony charges. During a multi-day preliminary hearing, prosecutors presented evidence and witnesses to make the case that led 3rd Judicial District Magistrate Judge Brian Lee decide there was probable cause for the 33-year-old to go to trial. Never did find the hype button. It's weird. It's very weird. The question before the court is not whether or not Mr. Wondra is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That is not the purpose of a preliminary hearing. That will be up to a jury, Lee said on Thursday. But I do find there is probable cause to support these charges. So at a preliminary hearing where evidence is given and the outcome is decided by a judge, or at a grand jury, if it went that route, they only have to find probable cause, that there's probably evidence to suggest that this person before them is guilty. It's just probable. A jury trial takes it one step further. A jury, to find someone guilty, has to have evidence presented to them that that person is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So it's a higher standard, it's a higher bar. But the judge determined, this is the first leg, the first step. The judge finding that there is probable cause takes it a step further. It then takes it to trial. Wondra, who is in custody on $1 million bond. So those people who are supporting Stacey Wondra, and there are still some who are supporting Stacey Wondra who believe he's innocent. Dear God. You want to raise $1 million to get him out? I don't know. But he's scheduled to appear at Payette County Courthouse for his arraignment at 10 a.m. on April 15th. So that's a date for your diaries. It's a date for your diaries. That's Brandy and Tyler, who are Michael's parents. Brandy has been very outspoken. She's been an absolute warrior throughout the whole thing. And they've been in court. They've given evidence to the preliminary hearing. Michael's parents, Brandy Neal and Tyler Vaughan, said they were glad to see the case move forward and expect to see everyone who was involved be punished to the full extent of the law. Remember, at the moment, it's only Stacey Wondra that is in jail facing charges. The other three, though, are still suspects. Hopefully, one of them will grow a slight bit of consciousness. Well, hopefully, and tell us where Michael is. That's all we want, Neil said outside the courthouse. They've done their wrong. Now it's time to pay for it. Absolutely. Been a long time coming. The Wanderers were first named as suspects in the boys' abduction by Fruitland Police Chief J.G. Huff back in 2022. We streamed that press conference live here on this channel. It was absolutely heartbreaking. After sitting day after day, waiting for news, watching as reporters stood outside that backyard on Red Wing Street, and we were just hoping upon hope that they'd find something, evidence or something. You don't want to think that Michael has been buried in that backyard, but at the same time, the family needs Michael home. Michael needs to come home. The very least they can do now is grow a backbone and say where Michael's body was taken. J.D. Huff said they had reason to believe that the body was buried in Red Wing Street. Every cadaver dog that went in that yard alerted in the same area. I think they have 5 cadaver dogs in total, all alerted in the same area. They had reason to believe he had been buried there, but he'd been moved. So where was he moved to is the question. 2 men who live with the Wanderers, that would be Brandon and Adrian, were also asked to come forward as law enforcement believed they have first-hand knowledge of Michael's abduction. So far, only Stacey Wondra is facing criminal charges in the boys' abduction. I thought Sarah Wondra was arrested for murder shortly after Stacey was. Maybe I was wrong on that. I don't know. I'm sure she was. Anyway, I don't know what's happening with Sarah's case. Okay, evidence presented during the preliminary hearing this week indicated that his then wife and their roommates were also involved in the boys' killing. Based on court records, which are heartbreaking, if you read the documentation that's come out so far, absolutely heartbreaking what Stacey said happened to Michael. I mean, it's just horrendous. Duct tape and dear God. Based on court records, witness testimony and interviews with law enforcement, it's believed that Sarah Wondra, along with one of the roommates, grabbed Michael and brought him back to the Wanderers' house. There, Sarah Wondra, along with the 2 roommates, this is coming from Stacey, so he's kind of, stepping away, distancing himself. It was them, not me. I just happened to be there, unfortunately, but didn't try to stop it or didn't inform the cops straight away or indeed at all. So there's that. Dear God. So Sarah Wondra, along with the 2 roommates, taped his hands, legs and mouth and put him in a duffel bag. The Wanderers, along with 1 roommate, then transported the boy to a house in Cuna. It's about 50 miles away, where they left him overnight. So the story that Stacey brought to social media, and also Brandon, who's spoken out on social media, said that they went to Cuna because that was where Brandon's mother lived, 50 miles south. Now, the story that they said was that Brandon needed to go to Cuna that night to do his washing. Okay, so the Wanderers don't have a washing machine. You've got to travel 50 miles there and then 50 miles back to do your laundry. Another story that they told was that Brandon needed some water. He needed to go and get some water from Cuna. So they don't have water in Fruitland. There's a gas station down the road. If he wanted bottled water, he could have just gone down the road to a gas station. I assume that the gas station would sell bottled water. But no, they had to travel a 100-mile round trip to get Brandon some water. So it was obvious nonsense. And also the story about the duffel bag that came out from Stacey when he was on social media. And I've got all this documented in videos on my channel. He made incriminating statements like, oh yeah, Brandon took a duffel bag with his laundry in it, but it wasn't big enough to put a human in. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? You wouldn't say that, would you? Oh, it wasn't big enough. You know, Brandon had this duffel bag with his laundry in it, but it wasn't big enough to put a human in it. Yeah, okay. So we knew that the duffel bag was relevant. And then when the court documents came out, heartbreakingly, that's where Michael had been put, duct taped and alive, and then left on his own in the duffel bag in the house in Cuna overnight. And at some point he died. He suffocated. How horrendous, how disgusting, how skin crawling these people are. Ugh. He died sometime that night or the next morning from suffocation. This reminds me a little bit of Sarah Boone, who we streamed the trial live. I don't know whether I did it on this channel or Michelle Walks. I think it was on Michelle Walks where I streamed that trial. But yeah, she locked her boyfriend in a suitcase and left him overnight, and he suffocated. But imagine a little boy being abducted from the street, taken to a stranger's house, and then their intention, allegedly, was that they were going to sell him. That was the intention of abducting him. They didn't mean for him to die, but because he was upset, they put him in a duffel bag with duct tape over his mouth and nose. Of course he's going to suffocate. Stacey Wondra confessed to several people, including to law enforcement and his mother. And we're going to listen to the phone call. Stacey Wondra told detectives to check her backyard. This week, a packed courtroom listened to testimony from nearly a dozen witnesses and hours of newly released body cam footage from interviews detectives conducted a little more than a year after Michael went missing. So we haven't seen any of this. I'm hoping that they release it. We haven't seen any of this. If they release the whole preliminary hearing, then we'll stream it. We'll watch it together. Detectives with the Fruitland Police Department interviewed Stacey Wondra for hours over the course of several days in November 2022. So this was the same month that they did the big dig. JD Huff saying that they had a credible source. Again, the credible source was Stacey. Of course they're going to dig. If he says that there's a body buried there, of course they're going to dig. But I think Stacey believed the body was there, but unbeknownst to him, it was moved. I think once Stacey went to jail on unrelated charges, I think the three got their heads together, Sarah, Brandon and Adrian, got their heads together and thought, Stacey's now away from us. Stacey's now in jail on unrelated charges. Stacey's going to start singing. And indeed he did. So they moved the body. Okay. He recounted details of the boy's abduction. He hoped to cut a deal for providing information about the case. Initially, the interview started off upbeat, even jovial at times, as the detectives worked to build a rapport with Wondra, who constantly reiterated that he didn't have any more information to share, according to the footage. It's not that I don't want to cooperate. I want him to be found, he told detectives. Okay, but you waited to be found. You didn't come forward at the time. He didn't call the cops when this abduction was taking place. He didn't call the cops when they left him overnight in a bag in Cuna. No. So now trying to wash his hands of it, distance himself like everyone else was involved except me. No, bollocks, absolute hogwash. After hours of back and forth, as detectives pushed more, Wondra began to provide more information and contradict things he said hours earlier. Juanita Kelleher, one of the detectives on the case, urged Wondra to help her find Michael, saying if he did, she'd be on his side 100%, according to the interview footage. And there's little Michael. Devastating. That's the only thing I can give back to his family, she said. Wondra finally told detectives on November 11th, 2022, after at one point claiming Michael could have been sold, to check our backyard for the boy's body. That night, law enforcement descended on the Wonders property off Redwing Street in Fruitland, not far from where Michael lived. It's about half a mile, like if you walk. Idaho State Police, with assistance from local authorities as well as search and rescue groups, excavated the backyard over several days. They took like truckload after truckload after truckload of earth away so that they could sift it, and still found nothing, starting in a small spot near the fence line and eventually removing and sifting dirt from the entire area. Now, it wasn't a large backyard. It's probably about the same size as my backyard, I would think. Maybe a bit bigger than my backyard. But it's still a hefty job, despite cadaver dogs alerting law enforcement to the scene of human remains. Of human remains, none were found. This led investigators to determine that Michael's body was once buried in the backyard but moved before the excavation. Neil said, so that's Brandy, said she made a promise that when Michael went missing, she'd find him. That looks different now than when we started, but I have a promise to keep. Payette County Prosecutor Mike Duke acknowledged in his closing arguments that his office faced a unique legal obstacle, despite Wondra's many statements. The case relies heavily on that police interrogation, arguing that the information obtained is still credible, even though they weren't able to find the boy's body. Wondra attempted to gain the benefit of a deal by cooperating with law enforcement, so similar to what Kayla Montgomery did in the Harmony Montgomery case. It's a similar deal to that Kayla was there when Adam Montgomery murdered Harmony. She didn't try to stop it. She didn't inform law enforcement about it. But when it all came crashing down, Kayla was just as implicated as Adam, but she struck a deal. So she testified at Adam's trial. She got done for perjury. She had to do some jail time for perjury, but there was never any, assisting a murderer or whatever you would call it in New Hampshire. She didn't face anything like that because she gave law enforcement credible information that led to Adam being convicted. Harmony's body has never been found. That was another no-body homicide case. Harmony's body's never been found. So if Stacey Wondra thinks he's going to get away with it because they didn't find the body, he's sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. So Wondra attempted to gain the benefit of a deal by cooperating with law enforcement while trying to write himself out of the story. That's exactly what he's done, Duke said in court. The suspect tried to paint himself as a mere observer of Michael's abduction and death. Who'd observe something like that without doing all they could to stop it? He was involved. He was in it. He was in it up to his neck. By leaving the house with the boy and trying to establish an alibi, he insisted and facilitated the crimes. He knows Michael's still alive and he's going with them. So Michael was alive when they put him in the duffel bag and transported him 50 miles to Cuna. And Stacey was in that vehicle. So what are we going to say to that? He knows Michael's still alive and he's going with them, Duke said, referring to when the boy was said to be transported to Cuna from Fruitland. Anthony Ray Geddes, one of Wondra's public defenders, called the prosecution's case guesswork. He said that there wasn't a single piece of physical evidence despite exponential local, state and federal resources, and that although cadaver dogs alerted to the presence of human remains in the Wanderers' backyard, there's no way of knowing that was Michael. Well, who was it then? Did they have another body? in the backyard at some point that they removed. If it wasn't Michael, who was it? Now, all of these things are going to be put in front of a jury. So I will readily admit this isn't the strongest case in the world, because no, there's no forensic evidence that Stacey directly is involved. It's all coming from Stacey's words. It's Stacey's confession that's got him. So because the other three aren't singing, only Stacey is now facing trial for Michael's murder. So it's all gone wrong for Stacey because the body wasn't found. If the body had been found, then I'm assuming they'd have arrested Sarah, Brandon, and Adrian, and Stacey would have been a state's witness. He'd have got a deal. He might have faced some jail time, but very much reduced compared to, murder that the other three would face. But because the body wasn't there, the deal fell through. So Stacey now is sitting in jail, taking the rap for what all four of them did. Oh, boo-hoo, poor Stacey. Like, they need to get all four of them, but there isn't the evidence. It's all from Stacey. So I agree. It's not. I agree with the defense in some ways that it's not the strongest case in the world. But it's obvious. It's obvious he was involved. So there's definitely probable cause to take this further. So the judge has made exactly the right decision, in my opinion. But it will be for a jury to decide whether or not Stacey's guilty. It's the same, it's very similar to Adam Montgomery. That however, in Adam's case, there was physical evidence of harmony in the ceiling, where he'd like stored a body in a bag for like 3 months, and he'd been carrying this body around, and he'd put the bag with her body in it when they were, I think it was some kind of assisted living place. I'm not really sure. Some kind of, I don't know what it was. They were staying in this apartment anyway. And they put the bag with this decomposing little girl in the ceiling. And when Kayla started to talk, she directed them to the place where Adam had put this bag. And the decomposition fluids had dripped through the bag into the boards, the wooden boards in the ceiling. So they were able to take some of the ceiling away and find Harmony's DNA in this wood. So that's physical evidence that Harmony's body had been there. I mean, how else would Harmony's DNA get there? So they did have a little bit more in Adam Montgomery's case. So it's not the strongest case in the world. So the prosecution are going to have to pull out all the stops at this trial to convince this jury that he's guilty. He is absolutely guilty, but constitutionally, everybody is entitled to a fair trial. And if a jury doesn't feel that the case is sufficient beyond a reasonable doubt, then that's what the jury decides. So it's not a Hail Mary. It's not a case that is going to fail, but it's a case that does have holes in it, because you've got to prove at a trial, you've got to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. So it will be down to the jury. It's going to be nail-biting, to say the least. It's going to be absolutely nail-biting, to say the least. This is every parent, and I hope it's live streamed. And if it is live streamed, then of course I will be streaming it. We'll be sitting here listening to all of the horrendous details together. We'll do it together, and I hope it's live streamed. I really do. Anyway, this is every parent's worst nightmare. We so desperately want to find Michael Vaughan, Geddes said. His mother, father, and family and friends, they are entitled to their grief and anger and their outrage. Nothing I say here today takes that away. But I'm here to say that this doesn't make him guilty. Geddes also said his client didn't confess to anything, despite what was in the police interviews. Interesting. Well, didn't confess to anything. Well, let's see. Let's see. All right. What we're going to watch first? We will watch Do you watch the phone call? No, we'll watch.
So what's going on?
So the audio isn't brilliant. I'll put the CCs on. So this is when Stacey was in jail on unrelated charges. And this is just a snippet. This is 11 minutes. It may be what we've seen already, because some sections of this interview were released to social media. The full, I think it was like an entire day that they watched all of it. And yeah, he's sitting in a room here, directing cops to where the body could be found.
I heard you want to speak with us.
Well, talk to my mom, you know, I guess she's like this light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. She seems to be the mayor of information, which is okay. My mom mentioned that you guys were brought up plea bargain or whatever the same thing was. You guys are all concerned in exchange for help to find Michael. Like, I don't, like, in the sense of helping to find Michael, I don't have any issue with going out and trying to help locate and search, you know, like on that aspect, but I guess I kind of want to know, you know, I know you guys told my mom, you know, and in what aspects, you know, like I don't.
Chris M is in the corner. Is that Chris? Hold on, let me zoom in. Oh wow, it is Chris. It's Chris McDonough. Do you know what? I wouldn't have twigged. That's Chris McDonough. So he's been assisting the family via the organisation that is involved in the Cold Case Foundation. Wow. So he was at the press conference. Like you saw him standing behind JD Huff at the press conference when they announced the suspects in December of 2022. He's kept that quiet. Yeah, well spotted. Well spotted. Good on Chris for that. See how Chris has handled this case is superb. How he's helped the family. The Summer Wells case, alternatively, not so much. Okay, let's carry on. I'll try and not interrupt, but I saw that. I saw that come through on the comments, and I was like, squint and stare. It's like, yeah, it's definitely Chris. All right, I'll try and not interrupt it anymore.
You know, like I gave you guys a pretty substantial amount of, you know, what I thought was decent info the last time, you know, you guys talked. You know, it's like, at this point, I don't really have any more to give other than I just want to know, like, when you tell my mom that you're willing to, you know, get off me some clear on exchange for my uncle, physically coming out to try to look for him, helping with the search or whatever it may be, you know, or is it just, you know, feeding you guys information? Because I've given you guys what I know, you know, like that, or, you know, whatever thought was valuable information. But I don't have a problem at all with wanting to help with the search because I want to be able to have this little bit out here. It's not fair to set up his mother and his family, you know.
So I don't think that sometimes it takes a little time for us to go over stories and stuff, especially things that happen to us and remember everything that's happened. And I don't think you've told us everything yet. And so I think there's probably still some more information that you could help us with. And It would depend on what information you had as far as the contact.
I gave you guys what I had. Like I told you guys last time, I don't have a problem with going and trying to help find this little boy. But as far as knowledge of his whereabouts or, where, I've given you guys where he could be. I've talked about, what I've seen with the duffel bag. That's literally like what I have. I want to have more so I can help find this little boy. But that's why I'm literally like, I want to do this eye test because I really think you guys, I get, as you said, well, what if you fail? Are you still, I'm not going to fail. That's what it's at. I know for a fact, and however you guys want to see it, that's, you guys are detectives, you guys do your thing or whatever, but like, I'm just a person who's trying to help find us the Lord in any way, in which way I can, just like I was doing on the house. I mean, I don't think you guys understand, I don't have what you're looking for. And I think once we do the eye test, you guys are gonna be like, well, you really he wasn't lying. Like, and that's what I'm trying to make is like, I get you guys have your due diligence and your job to do and whatnot. But I'm also telling you, as someone, I've given you guys what I can. But I also know that there's a certain point beyond and above the, you get stuck at a point where you don't have anything else to relay. And when I'm telling you I don't have anything else to relay, I don't have anything else to relay. It's not that I don't want to give it to you. It's not that I don't want to cooperate. I mean, what you guys down here, I wouldn't, give you guys information, of what I've recollected if I didn't want to cooperate, if I didn't want this little boy to be found. Just trust me, I want him to be found. Like, I have many nieces and nephews. I've got friends that have got little boys, little kids. It's like, to be labeled as that one person, which is what I'm being labeled as. I mean, I'm sure as anybody else, it gives yourself a bad name. And that's why I want to go through and do this whole eye test thing. I want to see what you guys are trying to offer, because I feel like once I complete the eye test and you guys see that he really hasn't lied to us. I mean, I really feel like with all this stuff that I've had to go through, like I still should be like negotiated or given a deal to him because of the information I have related to you guys. Even though it's not, you guys think it's not everything I know, or what I've given you is what I've given you. But I still feel like being put, in this position when you're gonna find out that I'm not lying. That's where this is at. Like, I'm not, I would never, there's more things, money for food. Food being the fourth one, I wouldn't put this second, but, I literally am a very, very, very firm believer in those things. And to mess with somebody else's life like that, with like what's happened, is completely beyond anything on. I mean, it's real that it's happened, but it's unreal to me that I'm having to sit here and face, yeah, you guys have, your what about your investigation, your forensic stuff, or whatever it is. but as somebody who was not and hasn't been a part of that particular situation, I don't know, like, I want to help you guys as much as I can, but I don't have anything else to fork up. I just know that you guys told my mom, you know, he's willing to help, you know, within the search or whatever. So I asked my mom, what are the parameters? And she goes, you're going to have to talk to them. So I was like, okay. And that's why I called you guys, because it's like, I mean, even after this whole testing thing, like that I want to do with you guys, and if it comes back like I'm telling you the truth, and I haven't lied, then I still want to work a negotiation or something out with you for having to go through what I had to go through in this long of a process. It doesn't, you know, and I talked to Sarah a couple days ago. I don't know if she told you, but you know, I asked, you know, I told her, I said, why, you know, why is all this, what's all this stuff going on with, you know, God, you know, and this whole, you know, I mean, I was appalled when she was like, well, I'm literally, you're talking on the phone to you with fire hundreds, and I literally got it a couple days ago, and God put me back to be a prophet, prophesied something. What are we trying for this? Sorry, so go back right. By David Baldacci. But it's just like, you know, and then she goes, well, I'm not talking to the detectives about she goes, I'm not turning on you like they're saying that they're going to. I don't believe her. I don't, you know, great if she isn't. She can turn on me all she wants. I have nothing. She knows damn well I have nothing to do with anything. And so I can let her, you know, she's going to do what she's going to do. I don't know if she already gave her speaking or whatnot, but honestly, like, I don't really care. You know, I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. And that's never interesting. You know, after the shit that I've heard from you guys, and when she's done behind my back, I mean, not meaning, or mind you, you know, some of the stuff that I've done behind her back, you know, wasn't exactly faithful, but if you had to be in the predicament, some of the situations that I've been in with her, being held against, you know, being held at, you know, with what you're going to do through, I mean, you wouldn't exactly probably be the happiest, you know, your relationship. I mean, I can't speak for one another, but, you know, it's hard to, I mean, to just wrap my mind around, you know, the fact that she knows something. And just mind-boggling. You know, I'm the type of person that if I knew something, even
I don't know what all that beeping's about, because that hurts my ears. I'm assuming that this segment comes before he started really singing, because the clip that we've seen on social media is him on the phone to a cop who's in the backyard during the dig, and he's explaining to them where they put the body, where Sarah dug the hole to put the body. It was near the shed. So it was near the fence line, but near the shed. There was a shed like up against the fence. And he's there giving them all these details. So I'm assuming this, where he's denying it, like, oh, I don't know anything, and blah, 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 comes before that. However, what I think he's doing here is asking for a deal whilst trying not to tell them anything. So he's trying to keep himself completely out of it, like, oh, I don't know nothing, but I'm trying to help you guys, so give me a deal. But if he doesn't know anything, why would they give him a deal? Why would he even be involved at all? So at the end there, where he starts talking about Sarah, I think he's trying to jump in ahead of Sarah. So he suspects Sarah's going to blame him. So he's going to jump in first and get the deal. You know, the first to talk is the first to walk kind of mentality. So I think that's what he's trying. He then realizes it doesn't work. And then he starts talking about the body being buried in the backyard. Okay, right. We're going to listen to. So I hope they release the whole thing. Like it went on for hours and hours and hours. So I hope they release the whole thing eventually. Now we're going to listen to this now, which is 28 minutes. I haven't listened to this at all. So it's a phone call that Stacey had with his mother, like a video call that Stacey had with his mother. So yeah, let's listen.
Which has previously been admitted.
Hey, buddy. What's happening?
Just got done talking to the detectives.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Told them everything.
Yeah. I'm proud of you for that, babe. I know it wasn't easy. I know it wasn't easy.
Sorry.
I know you are, babe. I know. Huh?
Again, I'm not going to interrupt this, but I'm just going to say nobody's seen this. This is newly released. So if you're saying in the chat that you haven't seen this, no, neither have I. No one's seen this. This came out. This was released 11 hours ago on Idaho News on Demand. So this was played at the preliminary hearing. It's previously unseen. As I said, there was cameras in court the whole time. They just weren't allowed to stream it live, but there were cameras. So I'm assuming that the judge will give permission at some point for the whole lot to be released. Who is she? His mother. This is a video call he's had with his mother while he was in jail. So this would have been, we don't know the exact date of this. I don't know whether there's a date on there, but we don't know the exact date of this, but this is during the time he was confessing to cops. So that's the time frame. So it would have been like November 2022. Okay, so I'm going to play this through. I haven't seen this. This is brand new. So let's listen carefully. Audio's bad, but hopefully the CCs will help.
Sweetheart, I know. You know. I know, babe. Were you completely honest with him about everything? Okay. That's very important, you know. I have to take those off.
I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. I let you guys go.
I know, babe. I know. I know you are.
Nobody's never been caught in the middle of this. It wasn't for her.
Sweetie, you have to take You have to take responsibility for your part, okay?
No.
You have to be a man. I'm being true to my word. I promised you if you told the truth, okay? I'm right here.
I'm just afraid of losing you guys.
Sweetie, I'm right here. I answered the phone. I answered the phone. Take a deep breath. I need you to do whatever you need to do, okay? To help, all right? You know, the Bible tells us if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins. He's not going to take away the consequences, but he's going to forgive you because you know what, babe? You confessed. You confessed your part in it, but you have to be 100% honest with them, okay? Okay?
Okay.
All right. I'm right here, buddy. Okay. You want to talk about it?
What?
Just anything?
I feel lighter.
Yeah. Yeah. That's for the best, huh? Yeah. You've been carrying that burden for a while, haven't you? Yeah.
I want nothing to do with it.
Huh?
I don't want anything to do with it. Honestly. Promise me you guys won't leave me if I have to go to prison for all my life.
Sweetheart, I'm right here. I'm right here. Huh?
I feel like God's not
Sweetheart,
wanting anything to do with me.
I can't speak for him. Right now, we're just like, we're still processing everything. I was hoping and praying that you were being honest with me, you know, but I knew in here, baby. I knew.
Now I'm just gonna be labeled as predator, man.
Well,
I'm just gonna be labeled as a predator everywhere I go. This evil person.
sweetie, I love you.
What we do.
Where are you at right now?
And my father.
Are you by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. What did they say was gonna happen now?
They were just gonna go out and
They were what?
they're just gonna go out and get Michael from where I told them they were, he was. They were,
Yeah,
they said that if everything turns out what I said and matches, that they were gonna fight for me.
okay. Baby, is Michael alive?
Sarah accidentally killed him.
How?
Suffocation. They buried him in a duffel bag.
How was that an accident?
She didn't realize there was too much clothes on top of
Why
him.
did she take
And
him?
he was duct taped.
Why did she take him? Did she take him or did you?
No, I didn't take him. It was her and Adrian.
Where were you?
Sitting at home when they came walking in and Sarah was holding Mike.
Why was she gonna do that? Why?
I think she wanted to try to appease me with here's a kid, like type of thing. Because we've been trying for so hard. And I looked at her and I said, what the heck are you doing? I said, this is not, she goes, well, I just needed to make money. And I said, this is not how you do that. The whole goal with her was so she could make money. And she was going to split it with Adrian. And I was completely out of the loop with everything.
How come you didn't say something?
I was scared too. I was scared. I knew I told her, I said, you need to call the authorities. I said, you need to report this. This is not okay. And she goes, no, I'm not doing that.
Are you sure it was an accident?
It was an accidental suffocation.
How did Brandon get involved?
Brandon's house was used to store Michael overnight.
Are you gonna cooperate with him and testify?
I would.
Okay. You have to stick to that, buddy, okay? Okay.
Well, I'm gonna die in prison. I'm gonna end up getting myself killed. able to see you again.
You're seeing me right now.
I hope I have been to a chance in prison. Sorry if I don't get to see you again.
You know what, sweetheart? You know what, sweetie? We're just gonna pray. God's gonna take care of you. But the main thing is you ask him for forgiveness. You've confessed your sins. You need to be honest about it. Like, seriously, confess everything, your whole part in it, no matter what that is, babe, no matter what. You understand? No matter what. You just be honest and you tell God. And he's gonna forgive you. And then, you know what? No matter what happens after that, you just read your Bible, you pray, you talk to God, and he'll be with you, baby. He will. He will. And then you don't have to fear. You don't have to fear dying. Okay? Because you know what? We can't fix what happened. We can't fix any of that. But you can be different. And even if you have to be different in jail, okay? You can be different and you don't have to be afraid of dying. Grandpa wasn't afraid of dying. And if you know Jesus and you've gotten forgiveness of your sins and he's in your heart, you'll get to see Grandpa. Okay? So no matter what, this is hard. It's going to be very hard. But you know what, baby? God has you, and he's not going to let you down. And all of the garbage that Sarah talked to you about, babe, that was not okay. Okay?
What do you mean? Garbage.
Garbage. Remember when she called yelling, God said this, God said that?
Yeah.
When she got online and she started, quote, preaching, sweetheart, she's not speaking God's real truth. Okay? That's not God's real truth. What Lee and Lois, Grandma, Grandpa, and me, that's the truth. That's the truth, baby. Okay? I want you to take every single thing that Sarah said to you and throw it out the window. And know that the people that really love you are here. Okay? I'm not gonna lie to you, this is a tough one, babe. But I'm gonna love you. My heart is so broken. It is, it's broken, baby. I don't think I've had my heart broken like this before. But
Cigar.
I do love you. Okay? I do love you.
Love you too.
And do you realize, can't see, it takes a brave thing to tell the truth. It's a brave thing to admit you've made a mistake. Okay? Where you sent them, are they going to find him? Okay. Okay.
Have you talked to my dad about this?
No, not yet. He knows a little bit.
Nobody's gonna look at me the same, Mom. Just this big animal.
Baby, this is hard. I'm speechless and I'm sad and I don't know how to be, you know? I'm trying to do what God would have me to do. He gave you to me to raise. And I did the very best I could. And I don't know how to handle this one. But I'm here. People will look at you different. I'm not gonna lie. You know I don't lie to you. There are actions, you're all blurry now. There you go. There are, oh, Mom, the cat's gonna get your food. Thank you. There are actions that have consequences that even Mom can't buffer for you. You know, these are, you know, babe, it's hard because had you said something in the beginning, you know, but because you held on to it for so long, it's almost like you were participated, you know, and the fact that you knew and you let his family suffer for so long, a long time, babe. Those are things that, you know, it's hard. The night you called me, you knew. You knew. And had you just come forward then, things might have been different. But we can't go and look at all that, baby. All we can do, look me in the eye, baby. Look at me. All we can do now is do the right thing from today. Okay? The right thing from today. Today forward, you can make good decisions, better decisions. Today forward, you can read your Bible, you can pray, you can talk to God. Okay? You don't have to give up. Okay? You might be in there, or you might be in prison, but you don't have to give up, and you don't have to give in to the temptations that are there. You can make good decisions now, okay? From now on, good decisions.
Okay.
All right, baby.
Have you talked to my dad yet?
Which dad?
Not Jerry. Oh.
No, I haven't. Oh, you mean I haven't told him about this?
No, but I'm talking about the other, he said he was gonna give me money or whatever.
He's not at the moment. Okay? He's not going to. He's not going to.
He said he wasn't gonna help.
Yeah.
Why?
Sweetie, I'm not in his brain.
Love you.
I love you too, buddy. I did put $10 on your phone account. Is that phone account so that you can only call my phone number? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
I was really hoping my dad would follow through on his word because I don't have any way to make any other calls.
I know. I know.
Just don't understand why he would go and say he's gonna do anything and just play God.
Sweetheart, really? Really?
I mean, it's not surprising.
Okay. Babe, you need to focus on Stacey. Not calling a bunch of people anyway. Are you sure? Did you leave anything out talking to them? No? You promised me you told them the truth?
Yes.
All of it, when you hide some of the truths, it's like lying and not telling the truth. Did you know that? Okay. It's very, very, very important. Very important. Oh, we've got 1 minute left.
Okay.
I love you, buddy.
Well, we will.
I love you too. Bye-bye.
Wow. Wow. Oh my word. Oh my word. Yeah, I think that's probably the case. That, like, as it stands now, he doesn't know where Michael's body is, because when he was in jail on unrelated charges, they moved his body. So I think he did believe Michael's body was there. I think he was telling the truth to the cops in November of 2022 that Michael's body had been buried in the backyard, but he wasn't aware that the body had been moved. That's, in my opinion, that's most probably what happened. But there's this. You're absolutely right. This is what I keep coming back to, McKenna. This is exactly what I keep coming back to. He did all of this in November of 2022. His mother was supporting him. I don't know whether his mother was working with the investigators, like whether she was encouraged to talk to him, maybe, you know, as to ensure that he told them everything. But she was trying so hard to work on his conscience. Now, she is his adoptive mother. I don't know anything about his early life. I'd be curious to know about his early life, but she's his adoptive mother. So when she's talking about his dads, I don't know whether that's a biological dad and an adoptive dad. I don't know. But this is the thing that it all comes down to. He did all of this in November of 2022. He obviously didn't get the deal he expected because Michael wasn't found. So that deal fell through. So then he decided, once he got out of jail, to go on YouTube to plead his innocence to everybody who'd have him on their panel and try to get money. He was trying to fleece people for money. He was trying to get people to pay him for interviews. And he was telling an old crock of bull, absolute bull, which was easy to see through. But all of that came after this snivelling and confessing and, yeah, I've said everything and blah, 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 and it was an accident and I wasn't involved. All of that was through the window. He even lied, barefaced lied to Brandy's face. Brandy went on a panel with him. I can't remember whose channel it was. And he lied. He was lying to her. So he deserves everything he gets, in my opinion. He deserves everything he gets. Thank you so much, Nonna, for becoming a member. Go and check out the members area if you've not been a member before. And Blissful, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. Let's see who's got those. Elizabeth, Amy's Brownies, Monica, Caitlin, Smartass, Smartass Patriot. Welcome, you all. If you have never been a member of this channel before, go and check out the members area. And thank you so much, Angie Baby, for gifting £2. Thank you. All right, the last thing we're going to play is the interview outside the courthouse that Brandy and Tyler gave yesterday. lost my window now. Here we go.
Think about closing statements today from the prosecution and from the defense.
The prosecution stand by everything he stated and what he said. I don't know very much about the laws, so I'm glad that that's being explained to us as the process is happening. I'm just glad we're going forward in the right direction, and pray that one of them, or maybe even Stacey, has the heart to tell us where Michael is.
Today was emotional. I know for you guys, like listening to the testimony from the detective and watching the videos again. What stands out to you that maybe you didn't know before?
That Michael was given a shot of insulin. Michael's not diabetic, so it would have put him to sleep. So he didn't have to suffer. And that to me is premeditation. So.
To hear what they did to you.
It was hard to hear that he was screaming for me. It was hard to hear that that woman told my baby that I didn't love him anymore. There's special places for people like that. And I believe that's where they're going to go. Justice will be served.
What were your feelings watching Stacey have a conversation with his mother and seeking out, comfort?
I admire that woman for her grace and her kindness and for raising him and trying to do right by him. My heart breaks for her because I know how my mom hurt. Heart hurts so much. I can't imagine what she's feeling right now. But I respect her and admire her for telling him that he needed to do the right thing. And I think her supporting him helped that a lot. And I'm very grateful to her for that.
And one of the voices that we heard in a lot of the videos yesterday was Detective Kelleher. Has your relationship with investigators been up to this point, and seeing all that video, I'm sure it was a mix of emotions?
It explains a lot of trust us, just trust us. And giving them that blind trust has been reassured of what they have been doing and their love for Michael and their love for their jobs to do the right thing. So.
And hearing the names of the other three come up so frequently and knowing they haven't been charged, what are your feelings on that?
We're a small community. We're a small town. There are lots of moving parts to Michael's case. And those 4 names have always come up together. It doesn't surprise me hearing those names. And I believe that all 4 of them are going to be punished to the extent of the law. Hopefully one of them will grow a slight bit of consciousness and tell us where Michael is. That's all we want is Michael home. They've done their wrong. Now it's time to pay for it. They've done their damage. Give us back Michael Joe. Give us back Monkey. That's all we've asked for is from day one. And they sat all this time. I have no empathy for any of them. They deserve what's coming to them.
Do you plan to come to future court proceedings?
Every single one I can possibly make, health permitting.
And Brandy, you, as we talked about yesterday, have had just both of you guys such grace and restraint through this process. I mean, how do you do it?
Each other. And we got an amazing community. Our family is rock solid. The foundation of our family is what keeps us going. And I made a promise to Monkey that I was never going to stop till I find him. It looks different now than when we started. But I still had that promise to keep. So, yeah. Thank you.
Do you guys feel closer to something?
Yes.
And you had Kira or Pidge.
Pidge, yeah.
When it comes to your other children, Michael's siblings, how are they doing?
They're all dealing it with their own ways. I was very proud of Paige, wanting to be here. And, you know, she's a part of this as much as well. And she's a young adult now. So mama can't tell her no anymore. But I did, you know, continuously make sure before the day, how are you feeling about this? How is your mental health? Are you sure that you want to do this? Because it is a lot of emotions. And of course, with all of the kids, we've tried to be completely honest and open with everything in the case. Age appropriate, of course, as it has been almost 5 years. And Buggy, Monkey's baby sister, I mean, she turned 2. Not even quite a month after Monkey was abducted. And she still asks if he's not alive anymore. And we have to go through that. So, yeah, it's really hard. They're doing well. And anytime they have a question, I'll answer it as best as I can. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Oh dear, 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 dear. Brandy is just so incredibly strong, a true warrior spirit, true warrior. Some of the details that she said there, I'd never heard before, that came out of the preliminary hearing, that apparently Michael had been told that his mommy didn't love him anymore. The shot of insulin, I'd never heard before. Absolutely heartbreaking, but it's absolutely true that all 4 of them will get their comeuppance, if not in this life, then the next. But let's hope it's in this life and we can all watch them get their comeuppance. But if you do know something and you have not yet gone to the cops, that small piece of information might finally lead the cops to Michael. The Fruitland PD number has been scrolling along the bottom of the screen this entire live stream. That's the number that you need to call if you've got some information that the cops need to have. Just because Stacey is going to trial doesn't mean that this case is over. There are 3 other people implicated in this case who know what happened to Michael after he was dug up from the backyard. Stacey may genuinely not know what happened after he was dug up because he was in jail. So it could well be that it's the three stooges, Sarah, Brandon, and Adrian, who do know what happened. And somebody needs to talk, or a family member connected to them. Stacey's mother, incredibly dignified, incredibly strong, incredibly brave to speak to Stacey like that. We need other family members of these 3 absolute lowlifes to also speak up. So maybe they have. Watch this space, I guess. But I think it's April the 15th. Let me just double check. Is the next date. That's important in this case. Yes, here we are. So he will next appear at Payette County Courthouse for his arraignment in District Court at 10 a.m. on April the 15th. Yes, insulin. Now, if he was given a shot of insulin to, I don't know, subdue him, make him sleep, I could believe that because Sarah was diabetic, so she would have insulin in her house. So if that's what Michael was given, I mean, look, I guess it would be some kind of small, I don't even want to say the word, but a small grace that he wasn't awake for the whole entire thing when he was suffocating. Insulin stops you losing consciousness. Does it? Does it? Who was diabetic? Sarah. Like, if you're given a shot of insulin when you're not diabetic, I don't even want to contemplate that. I don't want to contemplate that. I don't even, my brain is not prepared to go there at this moment in time. My brain is not prepared to go there. If you're not diabetic, it would make you sleepy. Seen a video saying some cartel use it when torturing victims as they suffer more. Oh God, don't. Oh. It would send you into a coma if you're not diabetic. That's what I thought, that it would put you out. That's what I thought. If you're not diabetic, it's going to knock you out. And that would be a small grace if that's the case. If he wasn't awake whilst he was dying. I mean, just imagine the terror that he felt. If he was asleep for some of that, at least, it's something. Good God, good God, good God. Maybe they gave him the insulin thinking that, you know, they were going to put him to sleep and then they could sell him. Look, it's just horrendous. They need to come forward and say what happened to Michael after he was dug up from the backyard. Let's just hope that the next court date, the arraignment on April the 15th, is televised and we can watch it. And even more so, let's hope that the trial, which the date's not been set yet. I'm assuming the date will be set in April. I'm assuming once it's gone to district court. Once the trial date is set, I'm hoping that the judge allows live streaming and then we can watch the trial together. It's going to be another heartbreaking one. It's going to be one of those where you need your tissues at the ready, and it's not for the faint of heart. But this is Michael's case, and unfortunately, this is Michael's story. And I, for one, have got to hear it all. I've got to hear it all. All right, I'm going to go and get something to eat. I've not had anything to eat today, so I'm going to go and get something to eat. Thank you all for joining me. And my deepest respects to Stacey's mother for doing her bit. And, of course, to Brandy, Tyler, and the rest of the family. And my heart goes out to them. But they're incredibly, incredibly strong. And the Michael's Army. So thank you all. Thank you, Nonna, for becoming a member. Thank you, Blissful, for gifting 5 memberships. Very kind. And thank you, Angie Baby, for the £2. Thanks, as always, to the mods. Enjoy the rest of your day. If anything massive breaks in the Nancy Guthrie case, I'll come back later to talk about that. Otherwise, I shall see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.